All right, talking about geometric pitch. So you get to calculate geometric pitch. Got your calculators? No, you threw them away after electricity, didn't you? All right. So geometric pitch, since it's a theoretical number, you can calculate it out. So geometric pitch is, and I've got two different formulas, like one here and then one in your project sheet. I'll look at both of them. Geometric pitch is 2 pi times r times the tangent, tan of blade angle, where r equals the radius at the 75% station. So, all right, so let's do an example. Let's see. We'll make it easy to start with. So the blade angle is 20 degrees. Where is that at? 75% station. And I'll just tell you that's at station 30. Station 30. So right now it'll be easy. Just tell you right where the station is. So, all right. Or I could have said the prop is 80 inches. Divide by 2?
Divide by 2 to find the
okay. Well, let me tell you what you're going to do on the test. About 75% of you.
80 inches.
You're going to go 80 inches times 0.75 and call it a day.
Nope. No.
And guess what? You're going to do all that math and you're going to get down to A, B, C, D and go, sweet, there's the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in your lab stuff, it's only pi.
I know, I told you, there's two different, I start again.
No, sorry.
Hi, welcome back everybody. There's two different formulas. We're going to go with the first one now.
Sorry.
I know. No, it's fine. I'm just teasing you a little bit. Glad you asked. All right. So, so how are we going to do this? So geometric pitch is 2 pi. 2 pi.
So
2.
will the prop always be, whenever they say prop is, it's always from tip to
Tip
tip?
to tip. All right. Oh, so it's 2 pi times, we got to figure the r, the radius at 75. Okay, what is the radius at 75% station? So that's 80 divided by 2, because there's one half and the other half, which is equals 40 times 0.75 equals 30 inches.
30 inches.
So it's 2 pi times
30
times the tangent of the tangent 20. So that'll be 2 pi times 30 times, and all you can do is in your calculator you can put turn it on, clear the tangent button, and there's little parentheses are going to show up. Do 20, close parenthesis, and that is 0.36397. Call it 0.364. 0.364. So 2 times pi times 30 times 0.364 equals what? 68.61 what? Inches. So what does that mean this prop is going to do?
It's going to move 68.61 inches
for every rotation.
Every single revolution is going to go 68.61 from the 75% station.
Theoretically.
Now in theory, seems like you could pick any station because if it's aligned properly, it would do the same. It should get about close to the same number. So, all right, in lab, somebody might have noticed that it's a little different. And that formula, it's the same. It's the same. It equals pi times 0.75 times the diameter of the prop times tangent of the blade angle. So let's do a different one. So in that one, I believe the prop is a 70-inch prop, and the blade angle is 16.75 degrees. So given that, pi times 7.5 times the what? Times 70 times tangent of the blade angle, which is
We're doing a different equation now.
it's the same thing, different equation.
I missed what D stood for.
Diameter.
The full length of the blade.
Diameter. What's the tangent of the blade angle?
301.
0.3 then. So pi times 0.75 times 70 times 0.3 equals 49 point. Should gives you at 6.
6.3.
49.6. All right. 49.6 what?
Inches.
All right.
Forward movement.
So you should be able to work both those formulas. Pick whenever you like. I don't know if there's one on the test. Why wouldn't there be?
What did you get?
49.48.
You rounded.
Round.
Did you round before you put all that in?
No, I literally I times 0.75 times 70 times 3 times 0.3.
Well, on the test, I'm going to obviously give you the formula. I'm not going to leave you to do that, but you got to learn how to work it. Did you find yourself?
Yeah.
It's so dark in here. I can't see my notes. All right, 7, 8. All right.
This light moved over there.
So we've got, what is that called? Geometric pitch, which is the theoretical. That's what we wish we had. What we actually have is effective. That is the actual distance. The airplane moves forward.
We didn't have a seat, don't worry about it.
Moves forward during one revolution of the prop. If I had, you want me to wait for a little bit for you guys?
We're still talking about tangents.
I know, that's what happens. You guys, when you guys go off on your own little sidebars, notice how, then now I'm here and you guys are completely lost on this and it snowballs. It would be so much easier if somebody would just raise your hand and go, hey, we're kind of lost over here. And then we could all get back on the same page. Where do I need to go back to?
You just go over.
It was the blade, the tangent blading.
Okay.
You could have gone back to lab
I know it's literally in your lab notes. Yes?
Before you had said that the geometric pitch is linear, but wouldn't it be more?
No, I didn't mean it was linear.
Well,
Said it
in
didn't.
proportion to. It was something you linear.
What I was saying is all of this is based on the numbers at the 75% station. But if you really think about it, shouldn't it be on every station? You just have to do the math different. Like instead of 75% station, where that angle gives you the, if you did the math, if you work the numbers, I think you should be able to go geometric pitch, pi times like 0.70 times diameter times tangent of the blade angle at the 70% station. Shouldn't that give you close to about the same number? Because you can't have one blade angle being like perfect and all the rest of them are like, well, this is like way off. They all got to be kind of close.
No,
I'm
I
gonna
meant
move it.
before, like, the equations, like when you first explained geometric pitch.
It is the theoretical distance it moves forward in one revolution.
Yeah.
So, were you talking about?
Oh, linear,
It's
meaning the length. Yeah, not linear as in, yeah, not a proportional.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh.
It's a length. Length.
Too smart.
Okay, actual distance moving forward during one revolution of the prop. A small blade angle is going to equal what? Smaller distance. Less distance per revolution. And the opposite of that would be a large blade angle or high blade angle.
Bigger.
Equals more distance per revolution. Effective pitch can range from 0%, meaning what?
Totally ineffective.
Yeah, it's, huh?
Basically,
Oh, no,
where it matters.
okay, you're sitting still.
Yeah, you got it. Let's see. There we go. Distance movement one revolution. Low pitch, small blade angle. High pitch, large blade angle. There. We just said that. Effective pitch versus geometric pitch. Ranges from 0%, meaning,
Completely ineffective.
and you're moving how far forward?
0.
0. When does that actually happen?
When
On
you're
the ground.
on the brakes.
And you're on the brakes.
On the brakes. Up to 85%. %. Slip. What is a slip? It's the thing you wear under your dress. You guys don't have daughters? The difference between,
Geometric and
yes, between geometric and effective. So geometric pitch. Suddenly I want to write Geometro. I don't know. You guys know what a Geometro is?
the car.
Yeah, the car. Thing's got like 50 miles to the gallon though, didn't it?
He was wearing.
But them things are amazing when they drill distance wise.
What?
The geometry.
I'm not a geo aficionado.
Effective equals slip.
You have, you just
I
didn't
just-
realize
I
it.
just
Like,
geotracker.
it's ugly as shit. It's super rounded, kind of like a Pacific Hatch, just not as body.
It's funny. It's way ahead of their time. I guess those things are actually get quite a bit of money if you still have one.
One fatal
Like so
flaw-
much money that it's what, like probably half of what you paid originally.
Oh yeah.
One fatal flaw is the gas tank being directly in the back.
Oh no, you're talking
No,
about the Pinto.
that's a Pinto.
That's the
Pinto.
Pinto.
Pinto. Never
Which
mind.
those are so amazing too. But no, the geometries are starting off the napkins. The engine bays are super huge, so you can take that little 4-cylinder out of there and throw whatever you want.
It's a 3-cylinder.
Oh, damn. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, 3 cylinders.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, I got mine for like $28 in high school.
I know when I'm driving down the road, if I see like a Pinto or a Vega I'm like, damn, a Pinto, man, check it out. My wife's like, I'm like, but you just don't.
You just don't
don't
see them.
get it.
What does it take to actually keep a Vega or a Pinto running to this day and age?
You see the one that goes to the track, the Segment Raceway? They've
Yeah.
got flames that are painted from the back of it.
Yeah, to the
because-
front.
All right, hopefully you guys are caught up now since we're talking about Geometros
Pintos.
and Pintos. That is just way off base. Okay, this is 4, way out here 4. New topic. Well, still talking about props. Aerodynamic. I think I screwed that up. Aerodynamic forces. All right.
Thrust.
Picture first.
Yes, please.
4 forces. Centrifugal tries to rip the blades out of the hub.
It tries to pull the paint off.
That is the most significant force affecting a propeller. From our standpoint as mechanics, we just have to understand that there's tons of force trying to rip it apart. And that's why maintenance is important, especially on constant speeds. Cracks are super critical. Torque bending force. Well, so there's not much we do with centrifugal force, right? It's there. It's not a usable thing. Same with torque bending force. It's not a usable thing, but we have to understand that it can distort the blades over time, and so that's where you need to have them overhauled and worked with. Same with thrust bending force. So when we're talking about, all of these are just unusable. That's the way life is. All right? But when we talk about these over here,
Bless you.
thank you. These are again very important to us. Not so much this one, the aerodynamic, but the centrifugal. And the reason why is because if we look at aerodynamic twisting force, and sometimes these pictures are really screwy because it's like, what the hell? It's almost like we're looking down at the prop. And that kind of screws you up. So anyway,
Flying straight up.
yeah, or it's flying straight up. So you just got to go with it, right? I don't know why they did that. Anyway, but this is an important point. If you don't catch this, you're just going to, from here on out, you're going to be, what? I don't get it. So aerodynamic twisting force, much like a wing, is the center of pressure is not in line with the center of rotation. And what that means is that it is going to want to twist the blade to a higher blade angle. All right, let me do this.
So yeah, not just
We'll go over there in a minute. You see, okay, we need to understand this. That plane's flying and we can see the propeller. And it's not because they used high-speed photography. That engine's not running. So those blades have rotated to the leading edge is directly in line with the wind like a wing.
Feather.
Okay, that's called feathered. So we're going to talk about towards feathered or towards either low pitch, which works, or low blade angle. Pitch has fewer syllables, so you can say low pitch. So towards,
Isn't that what you want when you lose an engine?
yeah, of course.
Okay.
But I want everybody to realize that this is a constant speed prop on a twin. Constant speed props on twins have a mechanism to feather. So I want everybody to be on the same page to say towards feather what that means. It is just flat out. So if it was trying to rotate, you'd actually be rotating that blade flat against the air. Which in a turbine engine, a turboprop, that's how you stop them, right? Go up to any King Air and the blades are flat out like that. Or listen to them shut down. You can hear them shut down. They pull into feathers. They shut down. Whoa, and the thing just comes to a screeching halt. You don't do that.
Stress on the prop?
It's very low torque at that point, and it's a lot better than letting the gear shaft, boy, I lost my words there.
The drive.
Yes, run with no oil pressure for a long period of time. So that's what it'll do. So all right, so there's feather. So don't look at those. We'll get to. Now you're going to see them. Like I already saw those. All right, so the center pressure is going to drive it towards feather. Okay? Centrifugal twisting force drives it towards a flat blade angle. So instead of being this way, so
The broad side is.
if you had a blade in a hub with nothing to stop it, and you just put it in, it had bearings and was allowed to twist, and you started it, and the only thing we had was aerodynamic twisting force, it would tend to do this. It would flatten out. Because aerodynamic twisting force, the way it does it, it just twisted it because of the way that right there, center of pressure and the center of rotation line up. So follow that? Okay, so aerodynamic twisting force, feather. But, and you can try this on your own, you stand up and twist around like that, and you're going to find your hands go like this. So, centrifugal twisting force, notice there's two centrifugals, there's centrifugal force, then centrifugal twisting force. Centrifugal twisting force will make that blade go this way. All right. So, given those two things, one of which is significantly more powerful than the other, centrifugal,
Yeah.
because of the mass on there. So, this center of rotation, while it's there, is almost insignificant, right? You can count it a little bit. I mean, if we're trying to push the blade towards feather, we can say, well, we'll get a little help from that, but the whole time we're fighting this centrifugal twisting force. So the reason why I bring this up, and I'm really stressing this, is while these are, nice to know, because you got to have them to pass the test, you're not going to get anywhere with constant speed props unless you understand that concept right there, because the whole basis of how constant speed props work is they're going to use two forces, one that's built into the prop, the centrifugal twisting force, to move it one way, and oil pressure to move it another way. So you got to get that. So when we add oil pressure, decrease oil pressure, that's its force right there. Not so much the aerodynamic twisting force.
For the aerodynamic, would you just see an increase in power, or you wouldn't see any
The aerodynamic twisting force?
yeah, you wouldn't see any if it was starting to go with that more. See anything on your climb?
No, not at all.
No.
The centrifugal twisting force is so great that the aerodynamic twisting force
Oh, got it.
it doesn't do anything.
Oh, okay. Now I get it.
Yeah.
Now it's in my head. All right.
Okay.
Got it.
I just figured out that we're not, I was looking at the blade like that.
I told you it's screwy. Yeah, it's totally screwy. It's almost like you're standing on top of the airplane looking down, or it's.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
The
What?
nose is
Oh.
weird. So
Brake
the
in
nose,
the back
the
is like
top
that
part.
hub.
The hub.
Yeah.
There have been times where I've actually done this.
That would be right.
Other,
Other way.
okay.
That works.
That would be right.
There.
So it's going that way.
Oh, that's the
Flying
freaking.
this way.
So-
Yeah.
That's the
That's
hub.
the nose. That's the cone, right?
That's
So it's
Yeah.
just sideways.
Oh.
Yeah.
So as long as you have your centrifugal to balance out your aerodynamic.
No, centrifugal does not balance out aerodynamic.
Okay.
Centrifugal is so much greater than aerodynamic that centrifugal will always win.
Okay. So it'll always want to turn the blade.
It always goes towards, and this, see, look how, now it's going flat pitch.
flat. Okay.
It's flattening out. Because I got it going the right
That
way.
makes way more sense now.
Yes.
Looking at it that way.
I told you I should just, most of the slides in here I do that. I actually have rotated them. Or some of them I did. But anyway, yeah.
No, at constant speed, the oil pressure just assists the aerodynamic twisting force and like feathering or it's supplement.
Okay, we're going to get ahead of ourselves, but I want you just because it's really cool. In a single engine airplane, it does one thing, and in a twin, it does it differently. So in a single engine airplane, it doesn't feather. So if I lose my engine in my single engine airplane, I don't have a feather option. The only time you're going to see that would be like in a turboprop, some ag planes and stuff, they'll have a feather option. Just came with it. But there's no point in feathering. I mean, it would be, give me a little better glide ratio, but I have to do some funky stuff, which I'll tell you about. So I lose an engine, that's it. So centrifugal twisting force brings the blades to low blade angle, and oil pressure brings it to high blade angle. If I lose oil pressure, I'm going to high blade angle. Follow? Okay. In a twin, you can't have it that way, because if you got two engines and you lose an engine, and I read this, it was kind of cool. You have to consider the propeller, the disc I talked about. When you lose an engine, it's like you have a disc that big hanging out there, because it drives the propeller. So you're flying along in your twin engine, and you have a catastrophic engine failure, right? Dynamic disassembly, parts shoot out. Now, not only have you lost all the power on that engine, but if you don't feather it, that propeller is going to keep driving this engine. Or maybe you just had a loss of oil pressure or something where you said, hey, I'm going to shut it down to save the engine, right? So you shut it down, but the prop keeps going. It keeps running the engine. There's no power, but it keeps going. You're like, stop, So you want to be able to stop that engine, get rid of the drag out there, because it's, you've got an arm out there, so it's dragging you back. And you've already got asymmetrical thrust because you've got an engine way out there that's trying to pull you around, and this one's dragging you. You're just going to go in circles, which you don't want that. You got to fly straight. So you want to shut that engine down, and you want to bring the blades into feather position. All right, but what if you lost oil pressure? Right, when I just said a single engine aircraft, you lose oil pressure, it's going to go to flat. Well, that's the worst thing I want. I need it to go all the way this way. So they turn it around. So you want centrifugal twisting force to make it go this way. So they do that by adding large counterweights out on the propeller that are in a different position than the blade. So those counterweights, they want to come to this position. So the blades here, the counterweights are like right here. And so the counterweights weigh more, so they want to go this way. So you lose oil pressure, and the counterweights go like that. And then the blade goes into and then it takes oil pressure to bring it back and hold it. So they reverse the process. That's next week.
Fun.
Okay, aerodynamic forces. We have centrifugal. Damn it. Centrifugal force, a force that tends to throw the blades away from the hub. Force that tends to throw the blades away from the hub. Causes stretching of the blades.
How common is that you see legs stretched?
Oh, you just go out on the flight line, you look at some of these old planes that haven't been maintained, and the prop's supposed to be like 6-8 inches from the ground. Some of you, they're already hitting the ground. I'm just making that up. Yeah. I don't really think they grow. And they get really narrow in the middle. It's just hilarious.
They start filing off the ends.
Yeah, you got to go out every week and cut off the hard part's putting it back in the hub up here now. So.
Can't you shorten it?
Yeah, you just shorten them as you go. Okay, let's see. Is the greatest force acting on the prop? And I thought this was cool. May exceed 7,500 times the weight of the blade. right, so Tweety, you had to go grab a blade. You and Adrian, right? How much that blade weigh?
30 pounds? Really bad at math.
Yeah, you are.
20, 30,
Yeah, at least 30.
40.
Yeah, I was gonna just throw out 50. Depends on which ones I get, but so it's
I'm just too strong.
30 times 7,500 equals 225,000 pounds. What? All right. Torque bending force. Due to air resistance, tends to bend the blades at a direction opposite of rotation. Due to air resistance, tends to bend tends to bend the blades in a direction opposite of rotation. The cool thing about that, though, is as they stretch out and would start to hit the ground, they kind of do this sweeping backwards thing, so they don't.
It's kind of like horns, you know, on some animals. It kind of like turn horn.
Sure, just like horns on an animal. It's exactly what I've got a picture here next. Thrust bending force. The thrust loads that tend to bend the blades forward as aircraft is pulled through the air. The thrust load that tends to bend the blades forward as aircraft is pulled through the air. Now let me tell you this. You want to get me riled up, touch my propeller.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'll let Renner do it because he knows what he's doing. I've talked to prop shops, and they will tell you flat out, people ruin their propellers by grabbing them and pulling the airplane. You literally just ruin it. And they said they have seen massive bends put in props on a really hot day. They said, you wouldn't think so, but it really happens then. And you watch, just go to any airport and watch any pilot move their airplane around. They grab that prop and yank it all over the place with this theory that, well, it pulls the airplane. Well, I can't hurt it. You absolutely do. So if I have to, and that's why I have a tug to pull my airplane around, I don't touch the prop, I will grab it right next to the spinner, right where the butt is. But here's the problem with that. You let somebody else do that to your plane, they tend to push on the spinner, and they're very fragile, crack the spinner. The spinner for my airplane is something like $8,000. The one on my 150 cracked. It was like $4,000. It was crazy. I found a certified, FAA certified repair station for them, and they welded it, but still I had to send it off, get it welded, send it to somebody, have it painted. So the props and the bulkheads and the spinners are incredibly fragile for what they do. You wouldn't think it, but they really are. So yeah, if you were to come up and have me move my airplane, touch my prop, I'll yell at you, oh no, don't touch my prop, right? Very picky about that, which is funny because probably the last owner didn't care, but now I suddenly care. But anyway, so don't do that. Even though you see it all the time, seasoned mechanics do it, I could probably put a line all the way down to the end of the block of mechanics going, you're not going to hurt anything. But, if a repair station who works on propellers their whole life says, we get them in all the time from people bending them, I'm buying into that. So don't pull on the props. Who was it? We had somebody, we were doing a weight and balance out here, and I just watched them. They were pushing the airplane in, and the owner, I mean, he's out. He got one hand on the tip and one hand here, just pushing the airplane. And I'm like, whoa, man, that's your
I
plane.
mean, not only are you putting forces on the prop, but also on the crankshaft.
Of course, yep,
It's like,
and backwards too.
why?
And backwards, yeah.
Yeah. It's what you don't know.
And then you have the risk of slipping and bonking your head.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I about ruined a prop once with my head. It still hurts.
You're off strike.
It was, man. Aerodynamic twisting force tends to twist the prop toward a high blade angle.
Feather.
Feather. Feather. I'll write that. Feather. Because the center of lift. What's center of lift? What does that mean?
Where the airfoil creates the most lift.
Yes, well, sort of. It's the theoretical point of which all aerodynamic forces tend to congregate. So if you had a little bit here, a little bit here, it's like the median lift spot. So this
That would be best.
center of lift is forward. The center of rotation. Let's see. So it does that. A, B, C, D, E. Centrifugal twisting force. So due to the mass of the blade, due to mass of blade, the force, I say tends, but oh, it really does, tends to move the blade toward a lower blade angle.
Would there be a name for that? Like feather or
No,
just like
flat.
flat?
Flatten out. CTF, centrifugal twisting force. There we go. So CTF. CTF is greater than aerodynamic. And this force is used to operate constant speed props. Number 6.
Way up
Nope.
there. Oh,
5. I was just trying to get through real quick. I just started skipping stuff. Tip speed. Tip speed is the principal limiting factor in propeller efficiency. Factor for prop efficiency. So one of the, I think it's really interesting if you can, there's some videos and stuff out there, which is, it goes beyond what we need to talk about, but it shows some of the vibrational forces and what happens with propellers. And as the tips, which are of course moving the fastest, start approaching the speed of sound when they start to go transonic, it sets up horrific vibrations within the propeller to the point where they'll actually just crack and break off pieces of the prop within minutes or seconds. It is amazing to watch these videos that show these engineering forces. So it's one thing to say that when the propeller tips go supersonic, they lose all the efficiency because it's a subsonic airfoil. It can't go supersonic. But Phil gets all the supersonic airfoils, right? Okay. So, but it's a whole other thing to say you're actually setting up vibrations in the propeller that are going to rip it apart at the tips and crack it. So that's really bad. So it's not just a loss of efficiency, it's the loss of the prop. A small loss of a propeller tip or piece of the propeller is enough to rip the engine out of an aircraft. And because of the way the aircraft weight and balance is, if you lose your engine, you will back up to the ground. Because the nose is going to go up and you're going to go this way because it needs the engine to stay this way. And so I had a flight instructor, God, when I first started flying, he lost a piece of the spinner, which is, in the middle. And he said it shook the airplane so hard and so violently. He just instinctively grabbed the switch and shut it off. That's all he could think to do. And he was convinced that if he turned it back on, it would rip it out of the aircraft. And I've heard other people talk about that. You lose part of a prop, it just tears it out. So it is yeah.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. With the tip speed limiting factor, can we just add more shorter blades and make them compensate for that?
Yeah, you could. So, in other words, if you do the math and you figure out, well, if a 90-inch prop is going to go speed of sound, well, let's just bring the tips into 76 inches. And I think that's exactly what they do with props.
Or add a third blade.
We shorten it, then add a third blade. Or shorten it and add more pitch. Or gear the engine down. Or change the RPM. Now, a lot of aircraft, that's why the red line is there. You can look and see the same engine. We'll go, well, wait a minute. If the engine in this plane has got a red line here, but it's the same engine over here, and the red line is here, it's in the same engine? Yeah, but it's not the same prop. Totally different prop. So they'll do that. Also on a lot of aircraft, many, you will see a yellow arc on the tachometer. And it'll be placarded, no continuous operation in this entire yellow area. You can move through it to this side, move through it to that side, but you can't stay in the middle. And it's all about propeller resonance. The propeller sets up resonance in that frequency, which is obviously not a supersonic issue because you can go past it and go faster. You can go through it and go slower, but you can't be in that middle range. And it's just the way the power impulses on the prop or the engine transmit to the propeller, cause it to vibrate and crack.
That's really interesting.
So, and that's not that uncommon to see that. It's more common in some of the bigger propellers.
Piper arrows.
Huh?
Is that way that Piper arrow
Yeah, Piper Arrow's got that. Yeah.
So I saw the C-130s that have 8 props. I've seen the ones that have 4 and 6.
Yeah.
Why are they adding more props to?
Well, blades, you mean?
Oh yeah,
Blades. Okay. I can't necessarily speak to that one. But, so like in the general aviation world, like my airplane came from the factory with the 2-blade. And now a lot of people want to go the 3-blade. And so, I done a lot of research. Why the 2? Why the 3? And it's interesting. I would say the single largest reason people go from a 2-blade to a 3-blade is they look cool.
Yeah.
it looks great.
That's true, and I'm being very serious. They look cooler. A 3-blade prop will give you a better climb because of their design. You will lose a little bit of forward speed. Part of that, I know with my aircraft, is due to the fact that the 3-blade is heavier, and so it takes more elevator pressure to keep it level, which kills your speed off.
It looks great.
They're cool as heck.
You've seen the C-130s?
Yeah. Oh, they look awesome. Yeah.
Even the 6-blade looked pretty cool.
Wasn't it
I-
something to do
You
with
see it next to the
noise?
4-blade.
I was just gonna say
Yeah.
that. It has a lot to do with noise.
The submarines, when they went to those
Scimitar,
bolts,
yeah.
yeah, it was to do with, well, one, the water boiling at the backside.
Yep.
Yeah, and then it was for noise.
Yeah, exactly. It is a lot to do. And the other thing about 3-blade, everybody says, man, what a difference it makes in the cabin. It's so much quieter.
Doesn't it also increase your clearance to the ground if you have 3?
Yes, because you shorten them.
Yeah.
But if that's not an issue, it may be an issue for me. I'm always getting prop dings. So, yeah, it's what you want. In fact, where were we, Michael? We saw, what the heck did we see with 4?
Prop that looked like it was a composite prop, probably.
Yeah, they were thin too.
Thin. Yeah,
What was that on?
thin.
206?
206.
Or was that 210? So,
That was really striking, though. And honestly, it didn't look as cool as the 3-blade.
it didn't. No, because they were so skinny, like little chicken legs on there. So, all right, that's I guess all I got time for tonight.